I am Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And we're paranormal specialists who live in the most haunted city on earth, Savannah, Georgia. Every day is Halloween in our line of work, so join us as we spin true tales of haunts, murders, and disturbing Savannah history. I'm Madison.
I'm Chris.
And welcome to the most haunted city on earth.
On the river.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the most haunted city on earth. My name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And today we have Sushi Soucy, which is baby Sushi, if you will.
You've heard many tales of young Sushi.
Yes.
And the terror that Sushi has brought to the world.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Solid.
So they have decided to join us today for a enthralling episode of From One to Wicked. Yes, thee shall ask and we shall provide, I guess.
One to Wicked.
Yeah, you guys, the Parajunkies, we had sent out a survey of, trying to get a gauge on what it is that you guys are enjoying, what are you not enjoying, all that good stuff. And a large number of you were like, can we get more From One to Wicked? And like, absolutely. I am a researching nerd, so this is great. So today's topic is going to be Devil's Pool in Queensland, Australia. Yes, haunted water. Woo! JT and I thought this would be appropriate since we're going up to Lake Lanier to film Parajunkie exclusive episodes. So if you like haunted water, you should go over to Patreon and join us over there. But you should also join us for various other reasons. We've got...
Yeah, it's not just haunted water. I mean, we've got all kinds of stuff.
We only do haunted water on Patreon. But yes, we have lots of fun stuff going on there. We have exclusive Discords. We have fun people. We have haunted dogs. We have, yes, my dogs.
It's all there.
It's all there.
Everything you could ask for.
Yes. So join us over there on the weird side, and we can further discuss all of the spookiness.
We'll just like live stream a cup of water and be like, there's a ghost in there. Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh.
Blow on it a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some people that do believe that, that water does contain like the devil or things like that.
Well, I mean,
you have to purify it.
Isn't that why you were afraid of the toilet as a kid?
Yeah, well, that was Jinhee too.
That was a very
my sister told me in two different conversations. One time I went to my sister and I was like, hey, where does the devil live? And my sister said, under the ground. And I'm like, got it. Good. Maybe a year later, I'm like, hey, where's the toilet go when you flush it? And she looks at me and she goes, under the ground. I'm like, wait a minute.
That's where
there's already something
lives.
there. And so I naturally assumed that the devil was where the toilet went. Like when you flush the toilet, it went straight into the devil's house.
The sewer god.
And the sound of the toilet was the devil screaming. And he was like, whoa, Chris Soucy! Because, I was filling his house with, poop. And that seemed reasonable to be really afraid. So I was afraid of the toilet until I was like 23 or 24.
Wow.
I still don't have a solid joy of the bathroom. And we've talked about this.
He does keep a sword in the bathroom.
Yes.
We have talked about the bathroom
We have discussed
sword.
Chris's various
and
phobias.
The couch sword.
Yeah, the couch sword. And do you have like a fridge sword or...
Well, no, because the kitchen is full of knives.
Sure.
Yeah, the kitchen is just full of knives.
But
kitchen sword,
but long knife,
long knife.
Yeah,
so. I do have abnormally long knives in the kitchen, which could be called swords, but why would you?
You're really setting the preface that it's like, if you come into my house, just know
it's true.
There are many weapons.
There's so many swords just all around.
I think I have a picture of my dog. Like lying with a sword, like
that's adorable.
Right out of, and it's like, oh, you found a sword.
Good
boy.
Good boy.
Good boy.
Good ranger.
Yeah, good ranger.
But yes. Now,
Anyway, moving on.
yeah, moving on. Past Chris's phobias, which we further and further dive into. I feel like it's a nice therapy session every single episode.
We'll get to each phobia.
Yes.
Mate, just wait until I become a regular.
Oh, yes. Now, before we get into our haunted pool, Sushi, do you have anything you'd like to plug or further discuss what you do so that the people know who you are?
Well, I'm Sushi Soucy. I'm a composer. I write music and I write musicals specifically. Right now, my most recent musical that I've written, I performed it and filmed it and I put it on YouTube. So if you want to go watch that, you can check it out, and you can follow him at the names _sushi on most platforms like Instagram and TikTok. But yeah,
Cool.
that's essentially it.
And it's a horror musical. We should
Yeah.
we should mention that it isn't
Well, it's
you
more
know
comedy than it is horror, but it's kind of
it's influenced by
it's
horror.
Lovecraftian.
Yes, it's Lovecraftian, but it's like
Directly
sticking it to
inspired.
Lovecraft because he was a horrible human being.
Yeah.
But a great,
No,
mythological
My
thing.
show
so.
would make him cry and throw up.
That's always a good thing.
That's what we're looking for.
So if you are a spooky thespian listening, go
Yeah.
go listen to Rockabye.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Cast album coming.
Coming within
Soon.
the next couple of months.
Yeah, excellent.
awesome.
Excellent.
Well, there you go. So yes, go follow Sushi on all the things and go get your fix of haunted musicals, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a good way.
Cosmic Eldritch
Scary
horror
music.
musical.
Yes. So,
Still mostly a comedy, though.
Still mostly a comedy, absolutely.
you know, that's
I just want to preface it with that. So,
So you're not expecting. don't expect to be afraid.
I
or
promise
anything.
it is not very sophisticated.
don't expect squibs and
No, no.
all the things, but
There's some a light gore,
yeah,
gore,
It's
light
very
gore,
campy.
tasteful gore.
tasteful gore.
All right, so into the Devil's Pool we go. So basically, the Devil's Pool is located in Queensland, Australia. Chris, you said it's Victoria Falls, right?
I thought so.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think that's. I think it's the. It's where the falls actually happen.
Yes.
Like the Devil's Pool is on top, and then it pushes into the falls.
Nice.
I believe. I could be wrong. This is entirely
Right.
I did not do research, so I don't know.
Well, so it's in North Queensland, and it's a spot that is deep in the Australian bush. It's where 3 streams among a group of boulders create a natural pool of water. Essentially, sounds like a nice swimming hole, you would think.
You would think.
And it's attractive to most people because the pools are cooler in temperature even in the summer months. So after you do a 1.3 kilometer trek into the attraction just south of Cairns, it's oftentimes you're like, oh, a swim sounds refreshing, especially because of how hot it is in Australia. It makes sense. So to tourists, it's known as the Babinda boulders, but to locals, they refer to it as the Devil's Pool. And so according to local Aboriginal communities of Babinda, the Devil's Pool has a haunted history. They fully believe this.
Okay.
So the story goes basically that a beautiful young girl named Ulana from the Yidinji tribe married a respected elder called Waruna, excuse me for butchering this, Warunu. But shortly after they got married, another young suitor came into the picture. Oh. So this man was from a different tribe, and he came into Ulana's life, Ulana's life, and they fell in love. So realizing that they were committing adultery, they decided that they were going to run away from the tribes, and they fled into the valleys. But they were very quickly caught by the tribe elders, but Ulana got away from her captors and threw herself into the Babinda boulders, calling for her love, Diga, and she wanted him to follow her. But as Diga hit the waters, Ulana screamed and cried because her lost lover had been turned into... so basically, he fell into the water, and suddenly the water became this rushing torrent of sorts,
whoa.
even though it was perfectly still when he fell in. And it is said to be one of Australia's most haunted spots because it has claimed the lives of at least 19 people since 1959.
Wow.
So, according to Aboriginal legend, Ulana's spirit still guards the boulders and calls to young men, essentially, who she believes is Diga, and she's calling to him. And so a lot of times you can hear her calling to Diga still around these boulders. Wow. So a lot of the victims are recorded, and there are quite a few people that they believe, especially the Aboriginal people have claimed, have been killed there, but they're not recorded because, it was a long time ago, and you know how things go. Sometimes things just don't get written down. But all but 2 of the known victims were killed at the popular tourist spot have been male. So the other 2, a lot of people think, were just victims of either coincidence or they were, because they were associated with the people or the men. They think that might be why they were killed. But it says that Ulana lures people close to the waters, hoping that they are Diga. And the spot where the water foams is believed to be the most lethal during the wet season. But as Aboriginal elders will tell you, it can be dangerous all year round. So elders call the haunted spot the washing machine.
There you go.
I guess.
Pretty on the nose.
It's pretty on the nose. Referring to the undercurrent that makes it near impossible for victims to swim to safety. So one of the most recent victims, I should say, was a Brisbane father named Shannon Hoffman. He was 37 years old and became the pool's 19th victim on October 19th, 2020.
Whoa.
I know.
That's very recent.
I know. And his body was found 200 meters from where he went swimming.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes. So he was just trying to, do some fun social distance friendly activities, and he found himself the victim of a very disheartened spirit, apparently. But just 7 months earlier, though, in April 2020, Madison Tam, who was 18, went paddling in the pool and got sucked under the water into a chute that pulled her downstream to the depth of 8 meters, and her body never resurfaced.
Good Lord.
God.
I know. So that's frightening, especially because, it takes a lot for a chute to happen. It doesn't just, whirlpools don't just start from nothing. Right. And it's really odd that she was just, able to paddle out there and then all of a sudden, that feels paranormal to me in a way. But in 2008, a 23-year-old Tasmanian man named James Bennett was swimming in what his friends called a calm water, but he was suddenly pulled backwards by an invisible force towards the rapids at the end of the pool. He also was never resurfaced.
Good Lord.
I know. This is putting Lake Lanier to shame, honestly.
I know. Just like, well, okay.
Allegedly, he reached for a branch which snapped before his head went under. And it was Bennett's death that finally made authorities declare the site a no-go zone. So people were...
Did it take that long?
Since 59?
Literally. People were quite literally just... They're like, people are just stupid. They can't swim.
Oh, my God.
It took a man being pulled by an unknown source in 2008 for them to be like, maybe it's not a good idea to go into a water that the Aboriginal people literally tell you that's the devil's pool.
Yeah,
So,
whenever somebody attaches devil to whatever it is, you should pay a little attention to it.
Right.
Even devil's ham is a little questionable.
Or religious or whatever, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's interesting because water around the world is considered spiritually charged and spiritually active. And in the Western world, we used to have to, do all kinds of rituals and even sacrifices to build bridges for fear that the water spirits would knock them down.
Right.
So, the concept of the danger of water has always been present and always been very, in our
mean,
the
think
front
about
of
how
our minds
terrifying
when
the ocean is.
well, yeah,
Literally.
I'm not going to cross that. Are you kidding me? Plus, there are all the things in the ocean.
Right.
You see a couple of those things, you're like, no, thank you.
Yeah. The deeper you go, just the more horrific everything
exactly.
gets.
It's like, oh, gosh.
The fact that like most of the ocean is like completely unexplored, I'm like, I don't think we need any more new species.
Yeah.
Right.
You can stop it. Yeah, they're like 100 new species a day or however many, and you're like, slow down.
I don't need to know.
Slow your roll.
Let's just keep it with the cute dolphins and the.
Dolphins are evil, though.
They kind of are. Though.
Dolphins are evil.
They are so smart. It is just horrific at how intelligent they are. Like, if you didn't know about the Savannah dolphins, look it up. Just our dolphins are very frightening, in my opinion, just because of the fact that they have evolved to hunt on land.
Yeah.
Did you not know this?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
National Geographic actually did a whole article on our dolphins because
they'll beach themselves too.
They,
I think I saw something about that like in school when I was in like 5th grade.
Yeah, they nudge fish, like they force fish to go onto land where they're dying, and they're like, great, now let's launch ourselves onto the land during low tide, eat the fish, and then squirm our way back in. It is the most baffling thing. Dolphins are very frightening, but cute. Yes. And that is my side.
It's only
tangent.
a matter of time before they learn how to like drive cars and come up on land with spears and jab us.
Exactly.
The dolphin revolution.
Yeah, one day.
Like, have you seen the weird dolphins on land? They're creepy.
I think Junji Ito wrote about that once.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, one day this podcast will be hosted by dolphins because we were taken out by them. So they're like, they know too much. But that's my side tangent for the episode. Is look up Savannah dolphins.
Look up Savannah dolphins.
But yes, so they ended up putting up a sign that says, "This creek has claimed many lives. Wet rocks are extremely slippery. Beware of rapidly rising water levels. Do not swim in Main Creek downstream at this point. And this track leads to lookouts only. For your safety, keep to walking track provided." That's a very long sign. And also, in my opinion, just saying, like, if I saw that sign, I'd be like,
I dare you. I double dog dare you.
Right. I'm like, I would just
also,
turn around.
I feel like there would probably be people who go there and be like, I'm not reading all of that. Let's go swimming.
That's what Ulana wants you to think.
Ah.
She's like, isn't this calm and nice?
Look. Join me.
Yes, how placid this beautiful watering hole is.
And she's like, you're not my boy. Crack.
Literally. And there is something endearing about, her persistence. Yes.
It's a love that never ended.
Yes. And,
it's sad.
I know. It's messed up, Ulana. You shouldn't kill everybody. Maybe
it's not her who's killing people. Maybe she's just looking for him.
Could be the angry husband. Let's not forget.
Ooh.
The angry husband, the one who was betrayed, is probably, where are they? Oh, there's a guy in the water. Bam.
Right. That's very true.
What killed the husband? Maybe there was something already there.
Well,
he fell into calm water that turned very violent.
Right.
So
or
it might be like some
it could have
crazy
been
water spirit.
Yeah,
the very thing she saw might have been the husband taking out the lover.
Right.
And it created the emotional turbulence.
He was lurking under the water with like a stick or something for a breath tube, and he's just waiting. He's like, one day they have to bathe.
This is the only way they could have come.
So
he evolves and learns to breathe underwater.
Or another theory is that maybe there were water spirits there, and they were awakened by the adulterous nature of, because you never know. A lot of
it'd be interesting if water spirits cared about that
adultery.
Kind of thing. They were like, oh my God, that human is cheating on her husband. Let's kill her.
Well, only the men. And I've noticed this with many spirits we have talked about on this show. Mm-hmm. A lot of times they hate cheating men or men who are involved in adultery.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It's been a very common kind of theme we've found with them, where they're like cut his head off,
Yeah.
or
Kill the man.
just kill the men, which, isn't always. No, I'm not condoning,
I don't condone murder, I promise.
I don't condone the murder of men,
But if you're going to do it,
be a water spirit to make it entertaining, at least.
Your brain needs support, and new Ollie Brainy Chews are a delightful way to take care of your cognitive health. Made with scientifically backed ingredients like Thai ginger, L-theanine, and caffeine, Brainy Chews support healthy brain function and help you find your focus, stay chill, or get energized. Be kind to your mind and get these nootropic chews at ollie.com. That's OLLY.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
But
they'll tell your story for centuries.
exactly. So the Babinda court records show 11 people died between 1959 and 1983. And although most reports suggest that it has been 19 fatalities since those records began, it is believed by many others, and like we said earlier, the Aboriginal people, that others have tragically died there. And there are old newspaper articles suggesting this as well. So we don't quite know how many people have been taken by the Devil's Pool. But according to an article in the Cairns Post, a man called, wait for this name, T. Winterbottom. That is...
T. Winterbottom.
That's a...
Oi.
That's a
great name. That's a great name. That's the hero of my children's book.
T. Winterbottom was swept away in the area in 1933.
Oh.
And the quote says, "It is problematic as to where the body can be, as the first pool under the falls proper is of tremendous depth, and perhaps the body may be lodged in crevices or caves which may exist beneath the water. A further search of the Devil's Pool will be made."
Oh.
I sure hope they are investigating this pool. But, if I was a researcher, you couldn't pay me enough to go investigate the caves beneath this.
I feel like we now have water drones, those little
I was gonna
submarines with
say,
cameras on it,
maybe
just a remote control
big
thing.
Camera down there.
Sacrifice
and just
the
call
camera.
It a day. Tape it to a stick and just be like.
Kind of like those, cameras they use when they're going to really deep depths of the ocean.
Yeah, exactly.
Little submarine. And
And they're like, if the
Remote control.
megalodon is down there, it'll eat this instead of us.
Exactly. And we'll still
Is
get
it too much to ask?
Right.
Send the camera, look around, bring it back.
But it sounds to me like they're trying to send some people down there. And I'm like,
Don't do that.
And their desire for exploration.
right. So there are also reports that an 8-year-old boy called John Dominic English drowned in 1940. And Aboriginal locals say another young man vanished after he kicked a plaque commemorating the dead. Now, that's just asking for it. So,
We shouldn't have to tell you, don't do that.
don't kick the
Don't
plaque.
kick the plaque.
Yeah.
The dead don't like it.
Don't be
That
worst.
Right.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's... even though it's the 1940s, even then, we had an idea of metaphysical natures and also burial
I would imagine that
practices.
superstitions were a little stronger then.
Right. Stronger, yeah.
He said, "To hell with this plaque. I'm going to go for a swim
The
now."
dead. Ha! No, don't do that. Don't do it.
Oh, no. Yeah. So it sounds like a lot of these people are ignoring signs, especially the ones who died in 2020, because that was the sign was already there.
Are you dumb?
The sign was there. Recent deaths.
Right.
Somebody got pulled down and their bodies were never found. Somebody got pulled down and their body was never found.
And this can't be anything that's not in the...
Even if you don't believe in ghosts,
Believe in nature.
Right.
believe in death.
Yeah, believe in
whirlpools.
death.
Yeah, whirlpools, riptides.
Yeah, riptides.
Exactly.
We have that issue here on Tybee. People swim out just a certain distance and they can't get back to shore. And they're not that far away, but they're
Right.
swimming their hardest just to get back to, just to the beach. And I can think of at least 6 instances in the last 20 years where we've lost people who swam out and couldn't swim back.
Or simply the Savannah River.
Yeah, Savannah River. Don't go into the Savannah River. It's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's just...
It's a murky nuclear wasteland.
Well, yes, that...
I know someone who drowned in there.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's terrible.
It is. It's not a fun way to go. Yeah, if the murkiness of the water isn't off-putting enough, and the dolphins aren't off-putting to you,
Right. The murderous dolphins.
then maybe don't.
Someone should make a horror movie about dolphins. I think that would be really interesting.
There has to be one
It would
already.
be easy to do because they're scary.
They're
Yes.
terrifying.
Does anybody remember that there were like 6 highly trained special forces Russian dolphins that escaped? Like,
A Russian dolphin?
Russian dolphins.
well, weaponized. They had weapons on them.
Dolphins.
When did this-
That's amazing.
I want to say
mean,
within
it's horrible.
around 2020 or around
This is
that time.
racist.
This is horrible.
It was within the last 10 years, I'm
Oh
sure.
my God.
And I'm pretty sure I wasn't a sci-fi channel movie, but
I never.
it was like
thought
6
I would hear the words weaponized
highly
dolphin
trained
in my
weaponized
life.
dolphins
From Russia.
from Russia, Special Forces dolphins.
I was totally expecting you to be like, yeah, it was in the Soviet Union era.
No, this was recent. This was
Oh,
recent.
God.
Wow. Even if you had even more reason to not go to Russia, don't go for the dolphins.
Well,
either.
they're not there anymore. They're somewhere. I don't think we ever found them.
Swell. Splendid.
They're training other dolphins as we speak.
That's horrible.
Our listeners are now acquiring a newfound fear of dolphins,
Phobia of dolphins.
from this episode.
That's valid, though.
Yes. Well, so my point being for the Savannah River, it kills people just because of the undercurrent.
Yeah, the
that
undercurrent is insane.
Yeah, because we've dredged it to like a really intense level that it has just, if you get in there, it's very unlikely that you're going to be found.
It's true.
And a lot of times the people who fall into the river happen on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, sure.
So if you're coming for St. Patrick's Day,
Stay away from the river, from the edge.
And it's not a high fence that they have.
No. I mean, you're right there. Yeah, a lot of people sit on the thing that's supposed to keep you from going into the
Right.
river.
And if you're a little intoxicated, one too many wet willies, that is, you are going to become a wet willy.
Have you ever been on River Street when the water level is right at the street?
Yes.
It's so scary.
It's horrifying. Or when hurricanes come
Right.
through, it is horrifying because all of River Street becomes the Savannah
It becomes
River.
the river, a street under the river.
It's awful. So, and that's a whole different episode we can talk about of the haunted nature of the Savannah River. But yes, now back to what I was saying. And there have been other mysterious disappearances that are referred to by local elders but have no date attached to them. But one in particular was a young couple that stood together on the rock platform admiring the view over Devil's Pool. When, according to one witness, without warning, the water suddenly rose, sweeping both into the water. And the girl was lucky to survive, but her male companion did not. It sounds like she was spit out by the water spirits.
Patooey.
Women don't want that.
No.
Women are bad for you.
Join me.
Right.
Not you.
Or they're
Join me.
like trying to collect a certain amount of male souls.
Well,
or something.
it sounds like classic Siren.
Right.
You hear the voice, the water's alluring, the place, is just saying, "Come with me."
And a part of me wonders if Ulana was maybe a siren living amongst the Aboriginal
go.
people, so that she
That'd be
could,
crazy.
right? And so that she could lure one of the men to start the chain reaction.
Kind of like a selkie. Is that what they're
Yeah,
called?
kind of.
Selkies?
Ooh,
Yeah.
selkies are such a cool concept.
It's
They
very.
are.
It's constant, and we had talked about this before. The shape shifting, skin wearing, and selkies
I could do
being
that. That would be
basically
so cool.
It would be.
seals.
Put on like a
Sea lions that can look like humans. Are you not a dolphin in a human suit?
I'm not that terrible. Come on.
JT's going to have to name this episode Fear of Dolphins Unlocked.
Achievement unlocked. I'll just add that to my long list of phobias.
Yes, a fear of dolphins. But other more recent confirmed victims of the pool include a tourist from Adelaide in 2004, a Sydney businessman in 2006, and Peter McGann, who was 24, who drowned in the pool's chute. So again, another person who was dragged into the chute. And this happened in 1979, unlike the woman who died in 2020 from the chute. So this chute has been around for quite a while.
Well, and I think what's happening is the pool is created where a series of boulders have, collided through, plate tectonics or however these things happen. But there are egresses, holes. They're not caves, I don't think. They're literally like just holes,
right?
And anytime there is a change of the pressure in the water, it will create a whirlpool.
A suction.
It'll just suck you right into it. So that's something to be afraid of in most bodies of water is you don't know the topography of the bed. Because if the bed has any fissures in it, it only takes a slight shift in pressure or a slight shift in current to create that vacuum, that vacuum effect.
Or it's Ulana.
The
size. She has a massive straw, a man straw.
Man straw. Hashtag man straw.
Yeah. Oh, just like. She's like, a nice man milkshake.
Nom, 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 nom.
Yummy.
And so as the Brisbane Times reported, he jumped across the short space between the rocks, slipped, and fell into the chute, and his body was also never recovered. So if
maybe they're all fine.
Yeah, there's like a secret.
They go down and now they live in another dimension.
Maybe there's like Atlantis down there.
Yeah, it's a portal. There's a shunk.
Or
that'd be awesome. That'd be silly.
What's the video game? The BioShock, where it's like it takes you to BioShock, and they all become big daddies.
Yeah, they have to be big daddies. That's why they're only men.
Yes,
they get transferred into big daddies.
And every once in a while, when the little sisters die, then they have to take a woman. So that's why we have the two women. So really,
we've explained it in video game terms.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That's possible.
Yeah. That is a very
we haven't
good
even
point.
thought about that, and that is a very good point.
So truly,
the water spirits saw what was in their soul.
Right. It's like,
yes,
I understand.
Yes.
Wow.
It's validating, but it hurts.
Down to BioShock.
That is the title of my new book, Validating But It Hurts.
And at the time, a police diver, Peter Tibbs, told ABC McGann's case was the most interesting he had seen, having already been called on 3 times to retrieve bodies from the pool. He did not find these bodies, so I guess maybe he was so intrigued by the stupidity.
Maybe he's really bad at his job.
Yeah, maybe that's why they haven't found him.
He's just like floating around. He's like, You know how hard it is to pull a waterlogged body out of the water?
He's like, I'm not diving into no BioShock shoot.
He just grabs a foot and ties a rock to it and is like, oh, it's unfound.
I never found it.
Or he really was afraid of,
That's also valid.
Yeah.
Valid.
And he was like, I just couldn't find it,
He's like, another body? No, I'm not going in there. No.
So he says, we thought we knew he was in there. But we couldn't get to the body because the water is so cold. Isn't that what wetsuits are for, Tibbs? But okay,
I think you're asking a lot for this police department.
He's like, I don't get paid enough.
Yeah, he's like, wetsuit?
We don't have the budget for a wetsuit.
We only have 1 bullet for the 6 of us. Every time we go on duty, we just hand the bullet over. Here you go.
Just in
I
case.
think that would be a really ridiculous cop show.
It would.
A cop show about a precinct that only had 1 bullet.
The precinct with 1 bullet. Just pass it around.
And it's so deep and it's so fast.
He's telling it like it is.
He's like, listen, I can't get down there.
so deep and fast,
And
guys.
cold.
I can't do it.
It's too cold.
It's so cold, you guys.
So-
I just want to go home.
8 or 10 times we went down, and we eventually cut the logs out of the place underwater. And on the last day, after we'd almost given up, we cut the last log that was in the chute, and the body floated freely. Whose body, Tibbs?
McGann.
Was that McGann's?
Well, that's what he said. It was the most interesting case, right?
I guess so. Well,
They got McGann's body.
he apparently was recovered, so whoever
Not
said
alive.
that, not alive, but
Had a very mild hallucination just now.
oh no.
It's not a hallucination.
You know when like out of the corner of your eye you see, just saw something like duck behind the door.
No, you're more than likely seeing one of our resident
Little
ghosts.
friends,
Yeah,
yeah.
our friends here. Sidebar for one of our new ghosts who have joined us here in the building. I don't think we've talked about him yet, but he is the shadowy figure that likes to hang out in Demon House, and he has red eyes.
Oh, nope, that's never good.
And he stands in the corner and just watches people.
You know, I think I would like to be friends with him.
I mean, he's in there all the time. You know, I'm sure you could go have a nice conversation with
Have a
Mr.
nice
Red
little
Eye.
chat.
He was like,
But I'm worried he'd follow me home, so.
you can take him if you want.
Don't,
You know, it's
don't do it.
That's
Don't do
why I
it.
said I'm worried.
well, you know, if anybody wants him, he's here. So
One red eye to pick up.
yes, one red
We
eye
have
available.
One red eye spirit for adoption.
Yes, but not Mothman. It's not Mothman. So
His eyes are more orange.
yes,
And bigger, I think.
Yeah, big,
Right.
big orange. Big orange orbs.
I think the concept of Mothman is very silly.
I love Mothman.
I
He's
like him.
excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, when we were talking to Two Girls, One Ghost, I think they said they did a poll on which a cryptid they would, listeners would want to date, and most people said Mothman.
Yeah.
And I
That's a
agree.
good choice.
I
Although,
completely concur.
But-
what about like
and-
Ruggaroo? Or isn't that the one with like
The Ruggaroo.
jacked bodies?
He's
and
the
a dog
jacked
head?
body dog head.
Yeah.
Ruggaroo.
I
So
think
Wow.
if you just put a
he just
bag over the
scratch
head,
behind his
like-
ear.
Yeah.
What do you mean? He's a beautiful dog.
Yeah,
Right.
I guess that's fair, but
Well, so back
Well,
onto
yeah,
he's
I'm
into
sorry.
like Nick from Zootopia, so
well, that's
yeah.
true as well. But regardless of the deaths, tourists continue to visit the spot, with TripAdvisor giving the area a solid 4.7 stars, with a little green subnote telling you Babinda Boulders is open 24 hours with Devil's.
What?
I know.
What?
With Devil's Pool just a mere 10-minute walk away from the main camping and swimming area. And
I think TripAdvisor is killing these people.
so TripAdvisor, you might have a lawsuit on your hands. You're telling people.
Well, I guess it's not that bad. If it has 4.7, that means that they only lost 3 points.
Right.
You know,
Or the ones who died weren't able to make it to TripAdvisor to give them the scathing review. But
or they did, and that just brought it down 0.3 points.
Right.
It's like, oh.
so there's around 300 reviews on Devil's Pool, and a lot of them say it's a lovely spot and a magical place.
Yeah, magical.
And make sure
Is
to
there a
have
K in there? Magical.
right? And make sure to take insect repellent. But there are also people on there saying, read the legend of the pool. And it's beautiful but dangerous.
Beautiful but dangerous.
And don't swim in Devil's Pool.
yeah.
And that's all I got for y'all on
Nice.
the Devil's
Excellent.
Pool.
Well, there you go.
So I agree with the latter of the TripAdvisor reviewers. Don't go swimming
Don't
in
swim.
the Devil's Pool. I mean, you know,
Come on, y'all.
right. Go to Victoria Falls or whatever it is.
Look at the scenery. Don't become a part of it.
Well, in 10 minutes away from the Devil's
Barely. It's
Right.
not like they were ever found.
Right. They didn't get to TripAdvisor. So, you know, it's
TripAdvisor.
but you know,
Sure, they would leave a scathing review.
absolutely.
1 star. It killed me.
I was dragged under.
I die.
Literally. If I could give this 0 stars, I
I would.
would. But, you know, it's it's kind of fascinating that there is apparently a swimming pool, like a swimming hole, 10 minutes away from the Devil's Pool, and yet people are still going to the Devil's Pool. Like, this is not it's not the more optimal swimming hole, clearly. So
I think, and because when you first said it, I think I'd heard of it. I'd heard that people die there, and I think it has an amazing view.
Sure.
I think the pool itself goes up against a fall. So you're like looking, you can get right up to the edge of the falls.
I mean, that's what lures you in, I guess.
Right.
Well, and I think that's the catch is if there's a strong current, it's pushing over falls. You know, there's a reason there are falls there.
It's beautiful scenery.
It creates rapids. You know, all those jagged rocks, all the water pushing through. You get in the wrong spot, an undercurrent will grab you. The chute apparently is just out to get you. So.
Well,
beware.
I mean, and let's not negate that people have heard Ulana screaming and
screaming
crying.
out the name. That's a big thing too.
That sounds like classic siren nature, but she's just chosen a less oceanic territory.
Well, and it raises that interesting question of, are sirens like human souls that are crying out and become, you know, is there an evolution to that spirit, to that, you know, cryptid, that creature, where just the sorrow and the grief and the need, because when you think of sirens, it's always like on rocks that crash boats. Could it be women who lost their husbands, women who lost their lovers to the sea, who, you know, maybe flung themselves into the sea or something like that? There's a story worth examining, is what are sirens? How did they come to be? Because there are...
And also, aren't, like, the original sirens, like, actually birds?
Those are harpies.
Yeah.
Because I thought that, like, the original story of, like, sirens were, like, half bird.
No,
women.
well, in the same story, that's the Odyssey, is that the sirens were calling them in, and the harpies were coming and eating them.
Okay.
Yeah, it gets a little muddy with...
It gets pretty muddy.
With all the harpies and the selkies and the sirens. They all kind of...
They all kind of have the same...
niche, if you will. Man alluring, killing machines.
Right.
So... The point being is there is a suspected siren at the Devil's Pool, and the police will not go diving for these people.
Well, apparently they did. I mean, I think that he was just complaining.
He said it's cold.
It's cold, and the water's really pushing hard. But apparently they did go down and move the logs.
Right.
And that's an interesting thing too, because if that is correct, things get pulled into the chute and stop the chute.
Right.
You know, so like all the driftwood and everything is stopping the chute. They had to go down and pull the stuff out of the chute, and they found the body. But in doing so, they exposed whatever was draining and making a dangerous situation for the next swimmer.
So if you are one of our male presenting viewers, maybe, just maybe,
perhaps,
don't go to the Devil's Pool and get sucked down by Ulana's man straw.
Don't go either way.
Don't go.
Yeah.
Don't go.
Don't take the risk.
Don't go. You know, there are certain places in the world that you just understand, regardless of supernatural activity, don't go hiking in Death Valley.
Yes.
You know, or if you do, don't go far from your resources, your car with your drinks. You know, don't just go wandering off into Death Valley, because it's called Death Valley for a reason.
Yes.
Don't go to the Devil's Canyon in Potosi, Bolivia. Don't go to the Devil's Pool in Australia. Don't.
Listen to the native people.
Listen to the native. The native people know. They observed and they said,
Absolutely
stay away.
not.
That ain't the place.
That's not it. That is not it. Go to the 10-minute walk away.
Right.
So
there's a perfectly fine swimming hole over there.
Yes. So I think we have cracked the case that it is Ulana's man straw sucking people down into the Bioshock realm of the Devil's Pool. So,
where dolphins beat you.
Yes.
Mercilessly.
Yeah, JT's going to have a fun time editing this one. But if you enjoyed this From One to Wicked, we didn't even rate it.
We didn't even rate it.
Okay, Chris, how about you? Actually, Sushi, since you're our guest, how about you give us your rate?
I'm going to say 6.
That's a fair rating.
6? Yeah.
Yeah, I was somewhere in the 5-6 area, mostly because the natural phenomenon of whirlpools and rapids and water that can very quickly overtake you is a big part of this story.
Right.
So, even with the added ghost story, it's like, well, there's a natural phenomenon at effect here that we are dealing with people who are being careless in treacherous area. So I don't think of it as wicked as something coming after you.
Yeah.
It's really you have to actually take an extra walk to get there.
I mean, technically, like for this to happen to you, you just have to be like really, really freaking stupid.
Yeah.
Well, when there's a giant sign.
Yeah.
Has a long paragraph of don't go in there for all of these reasons.
They need to shorten the sign to "People die here."
Quit.
Yeah, stop.
You will be thwacked.
I think it would work just as well if they said, "Caution, don't swim."
Right.
Right.
Like, I mean,
That's never stopped anybody either, though. But
you know what would probably stop people is if you put one of those like chemical signs,
Yes.
hazardous waste signs.
Yeah.
Smart.
I think people showing up being like, "Oh,
Yes.
I don't want to get some kind of mold on me." It's like, yeah, there's a demon in the water that's going to eat you. But yes, you're right.
people are so much more deterred by like
Yeah.
things that are gross than things that are actually scary.
Right. But I would agree. I'm going to give it a 5, just because not negating the natural elements that could be causing some of these deaths. But I'm convinced that it's Ulana.
It's a good
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Ulana's a great story, and
Yeah.
and we do prescribe stories to dangerous locations.
Right.
Oftentimes we use that in hopes that it would deter people.
Yeah.
From I mean that's the whole Big Bad Wolf story. Was we're going to deter kids from going off into the woods by saying there are big bad wolves. And it's like, I don't want to go in the woods. A big bad wolf's going to eat me, or a witch in the
Stranger
woods is going to eat
danger.
me, or
Yeah.
And so there's lots of stories where we create the
Fairy
scary
tales
thing.
are scary.
They're
man.
supposed to be. They're supposed to keep you safe. They're supposed to
Yeah.
keep you home. You're not supposed to wander off into the woods. You're not
Or
supposed to
into
eat
the
other people's
pool.
houses.
Yes. Well, don't eat people's houses.
Don't eat other people's houses.
Don't go in the Savannah River.
Do not go into the Savannah
Don't
River.
go in the Devil's Pool.
Don't
And
go
don't
in the Devil's
Never touch a dolphin.
Never touch a dolphin.
and don't eat people's houses.
And don't eat people's houses. I cannot stress that enough. No matter how enticing the house looks, don't eat it.
So with that, thank you for listening to this From One to Wicked episode. If you have a wicked entity or wicked place you would like us to rate, go ahead and shoot it over to me because I will happily research it. So definitely do that. And we want to thank Sushi for coming on today. Maybe you'll be the guest for all From One to Wicked. Do you have fun input into these? So, yes. So, and if you want Sushi back, let us know. But if you don't already follow us on social media, go ahead and follow us under Haunted City Podcast on all platforms. Go ahead and check us out on Patreon and become a Parajunkie and join that fun group of spooky peoples. And we'll see you in the next one. So my name is Madison Timmons.
I'm Chris Soucy.
And stay spooky, y'all.